Okay. Good afternoon. Already afternoon, yeah?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mr. John. Thank you so much. You come in to our interview. I explained you why I invited you.
Yeah, yes.
It is for book about Lithuanian community. And I know you were born in England.
I was.
And I knew your father, who arrived here in 1947.
That's right.
Yeah, and I would like ask you, just tell your story. What do you remember from your childhood? What do you remember from Lithuanian community? I found on this book, it's good document for me. I found on this book information about your father. He was quite active member of Lithuanian community in Wolverhampton. So I would like to know your story. What do you remember? Please tell us.
Okay. What do I remember? Okay, well, obviously my father and came over, and my mother, and I was born in 1950, and my brother, he was born in 1952. And unfortunately, my mother died in 1953. My brother was only 6 months old, and I was 2.5. So my dad had quite a very bad experience. So he came over from Lithuania through Germany and all that into England, and it was very hard. He had no language to begin with. His wife had just passed away, 2 young children, so his hands were really full. My recollection, I remember going back, we used to visit my mother's grave, because I can't remember my mother at all. Unfortunately, my brother had to go into care for a bit in Father Hudson's homes in Solihull in Birmingham, and we used to visit him regularly until I think he was about 5, maybe a little bit more than 5. Then he came back. And he lived with us from the age of 5 onwards, because obviously a small little child, 6 months, my dad couldn't cope. Plus the fact that they had to work and provide income. I remember the first language I learned was Lithuanian. Yeah. I went to St Jude's Primary School, and English was alien to me, believe it or not, because the Lithuanians, again, like today, a lot of them lived in Wolverhampton with Marines on the Hampton Road, and there used to be like 2 or 3 big houses, and I remember lots and lots of people in these houses. Some were single, some were family members, and whatever else. The other thing was my surname, Petkevicius. I remember I was taught how to write my surname, the very first thing you do at school, and the teacher always said, "Okay, Smith." You should sit by the child and put S-M-I-T-H Smith or Jones or Green, and it came to my name, Petkevicius. He used to always go to the top to pick the register up and bring it down. And I was thinking, why is she doing that? I couldn't understand, why she had to do that. But obviously now it's because, it's a bit unusual in names. As far as the community goes, there was a very strong sense of community. Because of necessity, at the end, it's strange country, people working in various locations, but they always met up, either in a bar or a social somewhere, and I knew the organisation got stronger and stronger. The more active members, they started to organise things. There even was at one point a Lithuanian school for a little bit. That we went to remember in the Molyneux in Wolverhampton by the football stadium, the Molyneux Hotel. We used to go to Mass, and then after Mass there was a Lithuanian school for a little while, which again shows you that they wanted to prolong. I remember also that people wanted to have a dance, a social thing, even to the point of organising like a national dancing. So I remember as time went on, we actually joined a Lithuanian group in Wolverhampton to do some national dancing. And we involved English people, some of my friends and what have you. So, you know, I remember those sort of things. The other thing I distinctly remember is that the organisations always had like annual general meetings in London and Headley Park, and Whitsun used to be a big celebration in the spring bank holiday now. In Headley Park, and there used to be coaches going down there, all Lithuanians. Again, it shows you that no matter, it just not isolated Wolverhampton, but there was a community spirit through the whole of England.
Yes.
And everybody, I think they actually bought shares, they chipped in, you know, from their hard-earned money, and, you know, paid their dues and whatever, and bought Headley Park, and they bought Lithuanian House in London, which I think has been changed a couple of times now. But there was always a strong sense of community. I also remember, you know, because I was only small, there were lots, you know, to me, a lot meant like maybe 100, 150, not like today, which I just asked you.
Yeah.
There could be like a couple of thousand people now from Lithuania in Wolverhampton alone. But as time went on, people started to die. I always remember the tragedies or the illnesses and what have you. The youngsters, like for instance myself, there was Algis Bandonis. He became my best friend. You know, I was really close to that guy. So not only was there like a community, but even the second generation felt that there was something there. You were drawn into this society, this, you know, activity. Even your friends, you know, tended to be your good friends. You had English friends, you integrated in and all the rest of it. The other sad part about all this really is that as the community started to flourish, you know, in the 1950s, the 60s, going into the 70s, and as people started to dwindle, you know, the numbers went down and people started to lose contact a little bit, and it was hard. Sometimes you used to have an AGM and there might be 8 people, as compared to, you know, in the olden days that there were 80 or 100 people there. So, you know, it got a little bit harder. And my generation, you know, again got married, really integrated, and, you know, went away really. They still knew that there was something there, you know, especially the people like myself who were born in the 50s, you know, those sort of people. If you were born in the 60s or 70s, there were less of a pull, if you can understand what I'm saying. Yeah. Now with my dad, I mean, he had going back to my dad, he had a fairly hard life, as I say, because of my mother dying. He was in the police force. He was an inspector in Lithuania, so he came over here, and obviously he can't have just like that a similar job. He had to do, you know, physical work. Majority of his life he spent as a spinner in Courtools, which is a rail manufacturer. I mean, long gone now the factory has, but he used to make nylon and stuff like that. And then the other big employer in Wolverhampton was Goodyear. Now Goodyear employed, in its heyday, close to, I should think, about nearly 3,000, you know, factory people alone, and on the sales force. And majority of Lithuanians, if they worked at Goodyear, and there were lots, you know, that actually worked in Goodyear because, one, it paid good money, it was piecework. Because there's one thing about Lithuanians, when they worked hard. You compare to the British guy and what have you, the Lithuanians always had this little bit of an edge, because when they worked hard, but when they played hard, you know, when they went out socially and whatever else, you know, perhaps they drank a bit too much and things like this. but nonetheless, you know, their sort of work ethic was really, really good, and they were respected in Goodyear. My dad had his last 5 years, because he got made redundant because when the factory folded, he went into Goodyear, and his last 5 years were actually at Goodyear. And I joined after I went to university back in 1971. I joined Goodyear. So not only was the old Lithuanians still there, you know, even the next generation, you know, people like myself. There was Vitas Bandonis, who unfortunately passed away as well because he had cancer. Algis, his brother. You know, again, lots of people in Goodyear. Right, let's go back a little bit now. My brother, okay, and myself, I say we started to live as a family, as a unit, when my brother was 5, and we used to live in Court Road, and at that time my uncle was alive, my dad's brother, John Petkevicius, and we used to live at 26 Court Road, and again, it goes to show that, and I'm talking now 57, 58, something like that. Yes. Even then, Lithuanians used to think, right, I'm going to earn some money, buy a house. Yes. But whereas a lot of people just flitted away. I mean, there were some who were, single people and they lived life to the full and only earned money just to enjoy themselves. But the majority of family people, again, were disciplined to say, hey, I've got to set up a new home. But they always, I remember, talked, the suitcase is packed. When Lithuania is free, we are going back. There was always their intention to go back. When the communist regime gets out, we will definitely go back. And I remember that distinctly back in the 50s, even the 60s. Now, as you get longer in the tooth, you're spending more time in England than back in Lithuania. So attitudes like that started to change a little bit. Well, I'm old now, but there's still quite a few people. When I remember when they became liberated, went back. There's only like a handful, because they're long in the tooth and got used to their creature comforts. Yes. and their way of life. It's very difficult.
Have you been in Lithuania?
I haven't yet, which is a bit embarrassing.
Oh.
But our intention is, because now I've sort of partially retired, but I've been partially retired now for the last about 3 years or so. But I know it's always been busy doing this, doing that, and I still do a day or 2 days a week. But I'd like to go back. I talked to Jean's sister when she was over here a couple of weeks ago, and she described Lithuania to me. And I'm hearing stories,
Yes.
How does it look, They would say it's very, very green, lots of forests, and very flattish. I mean, there is some hills somewhere, but the majority of Lithuania. So I want to go back there, and I'll be intentions of going back there.
It's really a lot of changes. Of course, changes from that time, 1947, until now. I live in England already 6 years, and when I go to Lithuania, every time I find a lot of change. It's really, it's changed. Everything changed. Everything is going forward.
But going back to my uncle and my dad, they lived in Court Road, and then they again they were home birds. I think with the Lithuanians, you are either a home bird and do nothing, or you're the opposite, who's very gregarious and loves partying and what have you. Yes. And my dad and my uncle were definitely home birds. And basically, they all they did was work and sleep, basically. Okay, they joined the community whenever there's opportunity. They were very, very strong Catholics. That's another thing about Lithuanians. Originally, they were very, very strong Catholics. And we had a Lithuanian priest in Nottingham, Father Matulis, and he used to come down very regularly. I mean, there were other Lithuanian priests as well. I can't recall their names now. But Matulis was the main sort of guy. And he saw us through First Holy Communion. Not only I went to a Catholic school and had my First Holy Communion through the school, through the parish and all that kind of thing. But with the Lithuanians, it's like a second one, because it was done through the Lithuanian priest, which again shows you a sense of, again, unity, if you like. Although you can't say you get married twice, but you know what I'm saying. Yes. There was a case of when the Lithuanian priest comes, you'll have your Lithuanian First Holy Communion or whatever. And we had the bishops come down and all sorts. But my dad was a very, 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 very active Catholic and supported the church greatly. And the majority of people, even if they didn't believe, they came to church. Because this felt like not say a meeting place, but a gathering, if you like, of Lithuanians. So even if they didn't believe, they still, when the priest came, they came to church. And they finished, and then that's it. They wouldn't go to church again until he came again. So I wouldn't class them as Catholics, but again, this sense of community, this sense of, belonging, that they would support, and even support the priest, they used to make donations and all that kind of thing. So there's a lot of memories, like Bundonis. They were quite active people, again, because my best friend was Algis, and he had a brother, Vitus, and he has another younger brother as well. But me and Alg used to be very close, very close. But then we get married and you have kids, and to be honest, again, I hate to say it, but I haven't seen him now for a couple of years. Although I bumped into somebody from who we knew, and apparently he's retired now as well. So you've heard of him, haven't you, Algis Bundonis? No. No, Jean didn't mention him.
No.
Surprise. Because at one point, Algis and Danuta were well, wasn't that engaged, but heading towards something like that. But it didn't work out, and Danuta got married to Jeff, and Al got married to Pam. What else do I remember about the Lithuanian community? As I say, they're very, I'd say they were clandestine initially. They were really, really, really clandestine. And always in the Three Crowns or somewhere. Sunday lunchtime was like a huge gathering, whether it be the Three Crowns or whatever, and majority of the bar was Lithuanians. Then they always have a chinwag of what they did or didn't do, and they used to carry on from the pub, go down to somebody's house, play cards or whatever. But again, this sense of identity, this sense of community, the sense of friendship. They couldn't do that with the English people. Okay, maybe their language skills weren't as great. That was another big problem actually with some of them, and I include my uncle in this. He wasn't the brightest, on the block. He was a farmer, and he knew farming, but he came over here. The language was a difficult thing for him, and I remember from the very, very young age, maybe 6 or 7, we used to do all the paperwork and stuff like this. My dad was he could read, he could talk in English properly and all the rest of it, but his written word wasn't very good, so, like form filling, like applying for mortgages or whatever, it's always done by, Was it? No, if you know the language.
Forms filling, it's quite difficult job. It's you can write well, but forms fill, it's another one part of writing. It's sometimes very difficult for educated people as well.
Again, going back to the church, there used to be gatherings, even if you were a strong Catholic and you went to an English church, okay, but you went to a specific one where majority of people would come. For instance, there used to be a mass at St. Patrick's, with the old church, not the new one, the old church, which is in town. That was a big meeting place again for Lithuanians and whatever. Then they moved
Where
from...
is it about?
I'll tell you where it was, St. Patrick's was. It was... Do you know where the casino is?
Yes.
The Rubicon Casino. The big car park there?
Yes.
That used to be on that plot there. It was a long time gone now.
Time ago. Oh,
Yeah.
Right.
There is a St. Patrick's Parish still, which is down by the Royal New Cross Hospital. St. Patrick's Church. That's a new one. And that's actually celebrating its 40th anniversary. So 40 years ago, the old St. Patrick's was where Lithuania... But not only that, but even the Polish people used to meet there. Because they had their community was larger, so they had actually a priest here, and they used to say a mass, in Polish at St. Patrick's before they had their church built. That's the other thing. You also found that because the Lithuanian community was there in Wolverhampton, there's also a Polish one and a Ukrainian one, a smallish Latvian one, but again there was crossover. No, okay, history says Lithuanians and Poles don't get on that well.
Yes.
And they also always have to be careful and all the rest of it. But until now, sometimes we do events in Polish club, and in Polish clubs they have how it's called in English, herbs
on wall.
Yes.
And in Birmingham Polish Club is Vilno.
Oh yeah.
Our people don't like
No,
to
no,
see
no.
why Vilno is here in Polish Club.
Yeah, exactly.
It's Lithuanian
Exactly.
capital city. Yeah.
So,
history is history, and
yeah,
it's
but-
like until now.
Yeah, but for some reason there was a greater gelling of peoples because of their situation.
Yeah.
Although they were, historically enemies, if you like, but there was a big passionate hate for the Russians. I mean,
Yes.
the first
Exactly,
generation. I
yes,
tell you,
it is.
there was a, real, sort of dislike.
Yes.
And he used to say to my father,
It's true. Yeah.
yeah, look, you can't blame the average Russian person. He's just like you and me. Yeah, there might be some lunatic at the head there who's got it all wrong and all the rest of it. And yeah, you can blame him, but you can't blame the job. No, they were so anti-Russian, but that was through everybody.
Yes.
They just absolutely hated them.
Now we, of course, now we are a bit different.
Yeah,
Because
it's-
anyway, I am in England in the same position. You are Russian or Polish or Lithuanian or Pakistani.
Yeah.
I'm not this country's citizen, yeah. I came here and yes, I should accept everyone.
Yeah,
who
we're
lives
cosmopolitan.
here, yes.
Yeah.
But of course, like your father, these people who arrived after Second World War, of course, they were very upset. It's Russian or Polish or Lithuanian people, yes, because they couldn't reach Lithuania. They couldn't meet them relatives and family, anything. They were without Lithuania. They had here Lithuania. Like I said in Hagley Park, yeah.
Headley Park.
Yeah. They have little Lithuania.
That's right.
Yeah, little Lithuania, and this community were actually very close. Now we are really free. We can go to Lithuania every week on weekend or just weekend.
The flights
go
aren't that
there.
expensive either.
Yes, and we are free. We can see our family anytime when we want.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The other thing that I've got a vivid memory of is that there were, what's the word I'm looking for? The word that springs to mind is honest, in the sense that they wouldn't go and claim the allowance for this and claim the allowance for that. Back in the old days, okay, they believed in I work, I earn, and I pay my way. I am not a scrounger. It's one thing about the old community that, hand on heart, there wasn't one that was like a state scrounger, because sometimes people get, come over, I'm not saying from Lithuania or from India or from Pakistan, and they just sponge off the state. That's all they come here for, right? But I remember the old Lithuanians, and I'm sure it applies to the new ones, they're here to work, and then they worked hard, and they're prepared to do anything. They wouldn't turn the job down. Oh, I don't like this.
Yes.
I don't like that. It was a case of, look, I've got to support my family, I've got to support my mortgage, I've got to support my lifestyle, and they worked hard, and their work ethic was very, very, even to the point of, they had a few to drink on a Sunday, feeling horrible the next day, they'll still go to work, no matter what, they will go to work. And I look at some attendance records. I did some investigation a long time ago at Goodyear, and basically there, I was looking at attendance records, and if you look at a Lithuanian or a Pole, unless they were ill, you might have 1 week off in 10 years, or whatever. It's just, now, I've got a bit of a sniffle, that's it. No, their work ethic, was really, really, really strong. Yeah, as I say, going back to Batulis, I mean, he was quite an influence on Wolverhampton society, because of his, strong, charismatic character. Although he was gentle, but at the same time, he was, he'd like to, talk about faith, but more importantly, talk about community in Lithuania. If I was brutally honest and say, was he more of a religious person or more of a patriot? And I think I'd sway towards the patriot side. And again, he had like a little mini orphanage there. I mean, there were some guys, you know, who had no parents and whatever. He set it up himself and all this. What a tremendous guy he was, absolutely tremendous. He worked so hard, you know, really so hard. You know, I don't know whether, have you come across him many times, Father Matulis? His life story or his history or...
No,
No?
I don't know. I just know he's from London.
Okay. Well, I mean, he's long gone, but I'd really...
No, I didn't meet him. I don't know.
No, I mean, he's passed on a long time ago,
Okay,
but I was saying he had a strong influence.
Yeah.
on
I
us.
just read here on this book, and I found here some information about him, and photos from him. I put photos to my pictures to my book as well from here. Yes,
Okay.
I have it here.
I mean, that was like going back to the mix of the original Lithuanians.
Yes.
There was like the artists. There was two Narbutas. They weren't related. There was we used to call him dainininkas, you know, and he was an artist and a very good speaker, poetry. You know, one of these.
Yes.
So every time we had like a meeting or something, got a bit of we used to have like a little bit of a concert first, and he used to say a poem or something. And there was Danielus Narbutas.
Yes, I heard about
Yeah,
that.
well, he was more of a musician, you know, and so there's like a cultural thing. And Narbuti, you know, she was very cultural. Then there was Kaminskina, who recently passed on, and over in a nursing home or whatever. Again, she was more community come religious type character. Jean was just active,
Yes,
you know.
Yes.
My dad was again active in a sense of, you know, promoting and making it right and not to forget, you know. Everybody was scared that, you know, they'll come here and all of a sudden they just, you know, no history, no nothing, and just disappear. You know, that's why promoting, you know, like these national dances, the Lithuanian language to some extent and things like that. But they integrated, which is a good thing, you know, at the end of the day. But it's good that you're actually archiving some of this off, so things aren't forgotten.
Yeah, because the archives haven't anything about Lithuanian community, just a few things like articles in newspapers, and that's all. Yes, and they asked me a long time ago already, could you bring something what you have about Lithuanian community, and I decided to write this book.
That's good.
Yeah, you have some.
I've got some photographs,
documents
and whatever.
That's
Yeah.
great.
But if you look at that one there, that is Jean.
All right. Oh.
That's me, and that's poor Danuta who's passed on now.
Yes.
You know. But though, blimey, I was about 7. But again, if you look, okay, now bearing in mind that they've been in England only about 7 or 8 years. But they looked after the children. They was all well dressed, you know. They worked hard, and again, you got to thank England to some extent because the jobs were there. Okay, you had an opportunity to earn money, and then, you know, obviously you start looking after and bringing up your family, and even as far as education goes. I mean, my dad, okay, no, his wife died, my mum died, and all the rest of it, but he still managed to get me through university, my brother through university. You know, always looking after the next generation, you know, and things like that, which is admirable, and not only that, but you know, if you look at a lot of other families, you know, I've done that. Kaminskina, for instance, her daughter Gunda, she went to university, you know, so again they're trying to better, you know. My life here is this level. Come on, let's try and make it a little bit better for you, and things like that. But no, it was some you know, lots of memories. But a lot of singing, I remember. The parties, and okay, I'm not a singer unfortunately because I'm tone deaf. But the other thing I always remember that when the Lithuanians started to sing, You know, they had harmony.
Yes.
And I felt proud that,
Yeah,
you know,
that's right.
he could listen to, you know, their harmonies, although they had a few whiskies or whatever, but their harmonies, very cultural.
Yes,
You know,
it is. It's true. Really, Lithuanian people like to sing, dance, folk dance. And I know here were before a big folk dance group. Jean told me that's his group,
that's
and
right.
we try to establish new group now.
Yeah, but with the folk dancing, for instance, there used to be, I remember Manchester had one, I think it was Stroud, Wolverhampton, but like, you know, you go to Headley Park, it wasn't like just one, it was like, look, this is ours, and then there were like half a dozen, you know, and it was amazing considering that they were in England, you know, getting on a little bit, but still, you know, sticking to some of their traditions and whatever. So there was that bit. You know, it was good. I mean, the other thing, there was and again he's in the book, Kamil Straitis. He was a basketball player. He was I don't know whether it was a professional basketball player, and again. He started off a basketball team in Wolverhampton.
Yes, I found on this book, and I wrote on my book as well about this team. And as you said, Jean was very active member of community. She is still very active, and she teach a lot me. She's just say what I shall to do, and it's really very helpful, you know. And we have now Lithuanian basketball club already. And our Lithuanian MLC, it's Midlands Lithuanian Community Basketball Club. This club now are in West Midlands Basketball League, and really very good players. And they always on top, always win. And yes, I proud with this club.
Because
it's good.
Again,
it's you know, it's like carry on
exactly. But again,
before.
That's
and
right.
We carry on our heritage.
Yeah, because it was the national sport of Lithuania. I mean, like football is England.
Yes, and
in Lithuania,
basketball is really national sport in Lithuania.
In Lithuania, and even to the name, he wouldn't choose an English name. It was, I think it was Viltis, or Vitis, or something. I can't remember, something like that. Right? And it was a Lithuanian name, even on the team. So it's on there, so promoting again, you know, Lithuania. But Kamil Straitis, I think he was. I don't know whether he's still alive or not. But he went to Belgium, I think, because his first wife died, and he either remarried or something or other with a Belgian. But she was Lithuanian, but Belgian Lithuanian. So he went over there. But he was a charismatic character, and there was a lot of strong characters who come on, we're going to do this. You know, there were some strong, you know. Leaders, if you like, which was good, because if everyone was complacent, you know, well, I'm not going to do that, you know, I'm not going to do this, and nothing would have happened. So, you know, you're like Jean, like Narbatin, like my dad, like Kamil Straitis, you know, those sort of people, you know, really pushed, and Matulis, the priest, I mean, he was very strong, who actually, you know, come on, let's do it. But I never forgot, say, the homeland. But having said that, they always, you know, appreciated, you know, their surroundings and their new home. But it's strange though, because if you talk to a majority of the people, will say, well, they wanted to go to America. How on earth they ended up in but for some reason or other, America was the place, you know. And of course, Americans couldn't accept everybody. And but I'm so glad that they came here, because America to me is not a nice place. I don't think. I've never actually visited. My
people moved to Australia, America, Canada.
Oh yeah. But from here. Yeah. There's I remember Conor Law was just he went from England, Wolverhampton to Canada. then there was somebody else went to Australia for sure. I remember them, you know. But all in all, there's a lot of fond memories, lot of fond memories, and the overriding thing is they stuck together as a community, and they never lost their identity.
Yeah.
You know, although people have integrated and all the rest of it, you know, and got married into, you know, English ladies, even the first generation, and some lost their language and whatever else, but nonetheless, you know, they're still.
I think it's very good point of Lithuanian peoples, and just keep them traditions and keep them culture, language. Yeah. Keep always with us, with Lithuanian community. We love communicate, we love to meet each other, and we love to be close community. Of course, we try to integrate to British society, but it means, and we would like to show just
exactly
our
enrich.
culture. Yeah.
Exactly, enrich it, as opposed to saying, you know, nothing. We enrich it. That's for sure. And. Okay, we've always been in the minority, but now, okay, you know, a couple of thousand is a different kettle of fish now, because the strongest community was the Polish, because there was lots and lots, those thousands, you know, back in the early days.
Yes, Poland is 45 million population.
That's right.
Lithuania 3.5.
Well, maybe a bit less now, because
now, of course, it's less, yes, because yes, they moved somewhere else in the world. Yeah. Yes, it's true, yes. You know, I was born in Riga, in Latvia.
Oh, right.
Yes, because just my grandparents, they were in Latvia. They was before in Russia, and after they couldn't get Lithuania, couldn't move back to Lithuania, and they chose Latvia. It's close with Lithuania, and they, my grandparents, it was not grandparents, yeah, they established Lithuanian community in Riga, in Latvia.
And it's right next door.
I'm, you know, I'm like grandchild of community, and I was always with this Lithuanian community, because my parents were very active members of this community. And what you talk about yours lovely days, yes, nice and beautiful parties and songs, it is very close to me, because it's I spent my childhood, my time as like you as well, with Lithuanian community, with our traditions, with our culture, yeah, and we had priests as well, and that time was very difficult time in Latvia as well, because it was communism, and you know, we couldn't go to church when we wanted.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
it was very difficult.
Yeah, it was difficult. Yeah. But anyway, we keep it. We kept our traditions, and until now, it's our heritage.
You're talking about that. I just recalled that the other thing that the Lithuanian community used to do individually, they had family back in Lithuania, and they didn't just say forget. They used to send, you know, parcels across there, and you had to go through a lot of rigmarole. You had to get special licenses, and there were special companies set up in London that you could order and send it across to Lithuania and all these kind of things. So they never forgot their families, their roots, and whatever parcels they could send over, that they did willingly, you know, type of thing, and they earn a bit. And yes, they got their own family here, but they also got, you know, brothers or sisters or mother or father or whatever back in Lithuania. I always remember, you know, sending parcels, you know, and especially it was like nylon shirts and whatever in those days. Jeans, yeah,
Jeans,
whatever.
Yes.
Yeah, because my cousin came over. She's a doctor in Vilnius, and she came over. not quite liberated Lithuania, but it's getting towards there. But like electrical goods and things like that. She, over here we had lots and lots, whereas in Lithuania in those days the shelves were virtually empty, and so I remember buying video recorders and whatever else. But it was good. They never forgot, and they used to send parcels, across, and things like that. I remember that as well. So they looked after everybody.
Good. Yeah, it's good. Our roots really
good,
and we are
our
so close.
Yeah. But it's just okay. We've integrated now this generation, and my daughter now, she's still got Petkevicius as a surname. She knows her roots, but there isn't that strong affinity because her mum. Okay, she was parents were Polish, although she was born in England like I was. So, he seems to dilute a little bit. But that's the way of life. But for me, I still feel a draw. And the strange thing, I was talking to Grażyna, and was at this Kaminski in his funeral recently, and she got back, and Gunde got back to Lithuania. It was last year or year before, first time ever. And Grażyna was saying to me, he says, it's strange, he said, I went into their relatives, never seen them ever in their life, okay? But she said, it was like being at home. It wasn't like going into a strange place or anything like that. It's ever so strange. It was like just, I'm here now, and never met them or other, but felt so at home, so I can't explain why, but she's not the only one. There was, this is more stranger than that because Macis, yours is Macis, he got married to an English lady, and he had a son, Peter, and, what's her name? Anyway, the daughter. And she was there, and she goes back quite regularly to Lithuania. She got this tremendous pull, and she's, half English, born in England, all the rest of it, but still got this draw, and I think, why, it's just one of these things.
It's something inside.
Yeah.
If you was born Lithuanian, you really have inside these things, Lithuanian,
Yeah. But going back to Wolverhampton, like I say, originally, all the Lithuanian majority worked in either Goodyear, Core Tools, and some of the steel works. I remember that much. But they gave to society lots of, they paid all the taxes, they, whatever else, and to this day, I know that as far as like sponging, I repeat it, I was proud in the sense that I can see a lot of people, they think, oh, blimey, and it hurts sometimes when you get bad press from Lithuania. Unfortunately, you only see bad press on the news, so-and-so has killed somebody or whatever, or Lithuanian descent, and although you might feel a little bit of guilt or shame, but there's bad in every society, but then you look at, other communities and what have you, and they have good and bad.
BBC News were in my house as well when one guy, Lithuanian guy, killed that family. And they asked me, how do you feel, how feel your community? I told, killer, it's not nationality.
No.
Anyone can be killer or something else, And I said, of course it's sad, it's very sad and shame